Hello everyone and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. We have an article today that is making a very, very big claim. The article we're going to read today is from the New York Post, and according to the source that they spoke to in this article, Ghislaine Maxwell filmed U.S. politicians engaging in sex with underage girls. Now, like always, take it with a grain of salt. Until we have evidence proving anything like this, it is obviously just speculation and theory and scuttlebutt, so we should take it as that as of now. But it is still very interesting that we keep hearing the same story over and over from people about these tapes. Now remember, a few months ago, a lot of people got dog-walked into another situation about somebody who claimed to have some tapes, and we know how that turned out. We know that it exploded in spectacular fashion and made some people look really, really bad. So again, I always suggest being cautious about claims like this. But also, we know from the survivors themselves that Jeffrey Epstein had the whole entire place wired up to take video so he could blackmail people. So while I'm not going to jump 100% in and say, oh yeah, this source is for sure credible or anything like that, we do have to remember that there have been persistent rumors such as this. So let's jump into this article and let's see what the New York Post has to say. Headline: Ghislaine Maxwell filmed U.S. politicians with underage girls, former pal claims. Authored by Isabel Vincent. Ghislaine Maxwell once boasted she had video of two high-profile U.S. politicians, along with other powerful figures, having sex with underage girls, claims a former jewel thief who described the disgraced socialite as a nymphomaniac. All right, so there's a lot to unpack just right there, right? A high-profile jewel thief claims a former jewel thief? What? So, who is this former jewel thief? And what is this former jewel thief's relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell? Again, we have to be very cautious of the source always. And while claims like this, they definitely fit the narrative, there's no doubt about it. It's just hard to vet something like this and say with any sort of certainty one way or the other if it's true without any tangible evidence. The reformed thief and author, who uses the pseudonym William Steele, said he long suspected Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell were abusing underage girls after meeting them in a jewelry store in Palm Beach as he tried to sell his stolen wares, he said in an interview with The Sun. So, supposedly this guy met Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein in a jewelry store. And they became friends, I'm guessing? I don't know how that would work, but okay. According to this man, William Steele, he met them at a jewelry store where he was there to sell stolen wares. So he was obviously out of front, some sort of fencing operation that accepts stolen goods. He was there fronting his stuff, selling whatever stolen garbage he had. And he struck up a friendship with Maxwell and Epstein. It's proving to be built on quicksand, this story so far. Let us continue. Steele, who claims he once swiped computer disks from the couple and sent them to authorities, did not reveal the identities of the people he says he saw in the videos. Steele admitting having sex with Maxwell, noting she would do everything and anything in bed, but said he never touched anyone underage according to the tabloid. All right, this is obviously BS, folks, right? I don't believe this for a minute. This is silliness, absolute silliness. But again, he's making the claim. And, you know, we have to discuss it, we have to air it, and we have to see if it holds up, right? But if I'm able to punch holes into it this quickly without any sort of real context or anything like that, chances are that this is absolute BS. This guy hasn't seen any tapes. This guy hasn't had sex with Ghislaine Maxwell. This guy probably doesn't even know Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. So again, we have to be very cautious of disinformation. But we also have to discuss claims like this to make sure we wade through the BS to try and look for the real. I was forced to watch their videos because they were trying to impress me, said Steele. They wanted to convince me of their power and who they held in their grip. I saw videos of very powerful people, celebrities, world figures, in those videos having sex, threesomes, even orgies with minors. So this guy admitted to watching child porn, basically, in this interview. He should be arrested for that. Secondly, how could anyone sit down and watch videos like this and not go crazy and beat the living shit out of Jeffrey Epstein and call the cops? Again, I'm giving this on the chicken cutlet parmesan meter of lies. This gets 5 chicken cutlet parmesans from your boy as far as lies. This is BS in my opinion. Steele, the author of Sex and Serial Killer about multimillionaire Robert Durst, said he had initially included in his book some of the scenes he saw at Epstein's Palm Beach mansion, where the billionaire convicted pedophile was accused of sexually abusing girls as young as 14. The descriptions, including Epstein putting his hands down the back of a young girl's shorts, were ultimately removed from the book for legal reasons, he said, and never published. Oh, okay, well, we can just make whatever claims we want, huh? Well, in that case, since we're making all of these crazy, wild-ass claims, I'm Julius Caesar's heir, and I want Rome back. Absolutely ludicrous. People like this are absolutely ludicrous, folks. And again, I don't believe anybody with these sort of salacious claims. I need proof. I need evidence. Let's see some receipts. If you say that you saw these tapes and you didn't go to the cops, doesn't that make you a sick bastard for watching child porn? First of all. Second of all, I highly doubt that a jewel thief met Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein in a fence shop and sparked up this huge relationship with them, and they were so comfortable with him, and they wanted this jewel thief to be in their atmosphere so badly that they let him in on their whole entire blackmail scheme. It does not add up. 5 chicken cutlet parmesans. Steele said he has come forward because he wants to see Maxwell, a British socialite, a co-conspirator, fellow child abuser, all-around scuzzbag, and former Epstein gal pal, convicted for her alleged crimes. Maxwell was arrested July 2nd at her New Hampshire hideout and is currently in a Brooklyn lockup, charged with helping Epstein sexually abuse young women. Steele said he is giving all of his information to authorities and is willing to testify in court. Okay, well, let's see the receipts, right? Prove me wrong. Look, it most certainly wouldn't be the first time I was wrong about something, right? But from where I'm sitting right now, this does not pass the sniff test. None of it adds up. None of it adds up. And as another jewel thief in a movie would say, in real life would say, Donnie Brasco, well, this all seems to be fugazi. Steele said he has come forward. Epstein and Maxwell got in touch with him to buy stolen goods for the girls they were allegedly grooming as sex slaves, said Steele, who stole millions of dollars in art and jewels in the U.S. All right, well, I could see that. I could see Maxwell and Epstein using a go-between offense to get stolen jewelry or goods for the girls, because at the end of the day, Epstein was a cheap bastard, right? So if he could score a deal, of course he would do that. So that definitely doesn't sound hollow to me. I could see them using a fence, and I could see them being hooked up with a fence considering all the people they know, so that they can get this stuff on the slide. But as far as seeing videotapes and being brought into their confidence and them showing tapes, come on, really? It was mostly tennis bracelets, charm bracelets, women's Piaget watches, he said. Steele said while Maxwell was very loyal to Epstein, she also knew he would prove her undoing. I don't doubt that either. I mean, look, there are a lot of people that have said that Jeffrey Epstein was like this super smart guy, this intelligent dude, etc., etc. I never bought it. I've always thought he was rather average as far as intelligence, might have some aptitude for math and numbers, but as far as general intelligence, this man isn't moving the needle. This isn't a man that walks in the room and demands respect because of his vernacular or his conversation. So I could totally see why Maxwell, who is obviously smarter than Epstein, would think that Epstein would one day be her undoing. But at the same time, They were so arrogant. They were so full of hubris that they never thought that the card house that they built would come tumbling down around their ears. She said to me that she often thought she needed to do something about Epstein, telling me, "He is going to be the death of me," he said, adding she had an escape plan she called the Polanski plan after filmmaker Roman Polanski, who fled the United States for France after raping a 13-year-old girl in 1977. Again, what in the hell is wrong with France and their extradition laws? France got to do better. And I've heard recently as well that France isn't even investigating Jean-Luc Brunel. I mean, how is that even possible considering the allegations brought about him? It is an absolute travesty that Jean-Luc Brunel is not in cuffs. And we will continue to talk about that dirtbag on this podcast until the day he is brought to justice and all of his survivors get a chance to look him down, look him in the eye, and see him get put in the clink as well. Because this is another monster that is free amongst us, folks. She told me about her Polanski plan where she would flee to France because they couldn't extradite her, Steele said. Last week, Maxwell asked a federal judge to grant her bail. Epstein died in an apparent suicide August 10th while awaiting trial at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Lower Manhattan. And this goes into the whole bail thing as well. She should not be granted bail, especially considering she has a Polanski plan in place, right? And while, again, I don't really trust this source's information as of now, it would have to be much more, a stringent vetting process would have to occur for me to believe something like this. But the Polanski plan thing, that definitely rings true. I believe that if Maxwell's passport wasn't flagged, that she would have already been in a different country. The whole thing of her lawyer saying that she has so many ties to America, her family's in America, blah, 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 blah. None of that stuff matters. What, nobody who's went on the lam has left their whole life behind so that they don't go to jail, so that they could stay free for a little while longer? What sort of fantasy land are you living in? Because it happens all the time. The ties that bind you to your country or your home are easily broken when you're staring 35, 50, 75-year sentences in the face. So to think that Ghislaine Maxwell is not a flight risk, to think that Ghislaine Maxwell would not try everything in her power to avoid justice, considering the way she has always dragged her feet, considering the way she has always manipulated the justice system to her favor, it is absurd to think that anybody would believe that Maxwell is not a flight risk. And to me, it is also absurd to think that this jewel thief was brought into the confidence of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and has knowledge of any tapes. With that said, that does not mean, in my opinion, that tapes do not exist, because I do believe that there are tapes. The question is, in my opinion, who has them? If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All links that pertain to the episode will be in the description box. All right, folks, I'll be back later on with another episode.